Welcome back. You're still listening and watching New Day, Saturday edition on TV3, also on 3FM 92.7 and online at 3news.com, also at TV3 Ghana on our Facebook page. We're looking at the allegations and response regarding the Director General of the Ghana Maritime Authority. Kamal, you wanted to?
Yes, I just wanted to. You see, Honorable showed us a document or some two documents which has to do with an audit conducted on boards by the Auditor General's department as well. It's not bad, it's good, but sometimes it is important for us to know that the Auditor Generals at the point of, bringing out this might not be the time that they conducted the audit.
It could have been a previous year.
It could have been the previous times. But you see, be that as it may, whether yesterday or today, wrong is wrong.
No, come on.
Now,
hold on. Yes. The matters we speak of were things that were done last year.
2017.
Indeed. And
last year, 2017.
Yes, the memos, all the documents we cited were 2017 dealings.
Yeah.
And the Auditor General's report is for 2017. I just place it in context.
Yes, you see, I'm saying that sometimes the Auditor General will perform. Of course, if you are, unless you have read the document, will perform. It's always like that.
Yes.
So I heard very good.
Then
they'll produce. I will not be surprised if we trace some of these actions taken to maybe say 2016. I will not be surprised.
But isn't the Auditor General 2 years late usually?
No, 2016.
Or it's changed now because the Auditor General report has been late.
No.
Perhaps a year or very prompt.
Okay.
Because 2015, 2016
this is not even an issue.
Working on them.
For me, it's not. Yes, the point is it's a national issue. We need to deal with it.
Establishing what is wrong, of course, and I'm happy the tangent Honorable told to let us understand that look, there's supposed to be checks as always. This document points to some checks that has been done and is unearthing certain wrongs in our society. We still have to talk about it. Why? I did say that look. Conflict of interest. The other point I made was that
please allow him.
Honorable, let me.
Please allow him to. You come back. Yes.
I did say that conflict of interest, but of the whole thing that is happening, is something that we have to look at. Whether it is one city, the cost element is immaterial to me. Once there's an act of conflict of interest or a seeming act of conflict of interest, we should talk and speak against it, rebuke it. You see, Maritime Authority, what is happening there? The last time, Peter Zuma, the Director General who left, had caused to spend over 141,000 Ghana cedis on data in his house, his residence.
Is it the same residence?
The same residence. The same residence that they've he was spending 141,000 Ghana cedis on data, internet data. That is yesterday. You see, it's not. I'm not seeking to justify what is happening today. That's why I asked what actually is happening in that institution.
And not just that institution. Maybe
other areas.
It's only institution up now, but we do know that it's perhaps a trend. Yes.
We are speaking to that one now. You see, this man seeks to explain that some 135,000. Yes, the figure is frightening. It's spent on food. You see, but we can narrowly say that and get people, if you like, a bit worried. However, he comes with an explanation to give a breakdown. There was an end-of-year party. Decor is part of the cost. This is part of the cost. VAT is part of the cost. All these things will come up. But my point is not justifying it for me.
That is yet to be determined.
Very good.
By the investigation that is supposed to be done.
Absolutely. So like I said, there's an explanation to it. The building, I like the way Lawyer Martin people talk about it. Look, we cannot sit here to quantify holistically and then realistically say that this is what none of us here is a quantity surveyor.
But we can always consult. We can always consult.
I'm just ending it. I'm just ending what I'm saying. But I'm saying that look, we need to thoroughly look at some of these things. Conduct of appointees of government is very necessary and very important to us. Look, we have campaigned on the fact that good governance is something that we're going to espouse and we're seeking to push forward. Now, if at the end of the day, there are aspects of certain happenings in government that points not to the good governance that we spoke about, I think it's a worry.
Very
So
well.
clearly, I want to say that, look, let them investigate, let it come out, let's see what happens, then we can move on.
And given the context, perhaps the board would very well be a wrong choice.
Well, of course, given the context, I
cannot.
think that you cannot be a judge in your own cause.
Exactly,
I mean,
which is
sometime.
right. Quickly, Honourable.
By
the way, how is the Ghana Maritime Authority doing in terms of...
But before, let's get this clear. Before the minister issued that directive for the board to look into the matter, this press conference hadn't come yet.
Exactly.
You get it? So now that is even more reason why
But it still doesn't change the fact that
that's the more reason why
they,
we still have
according
look
to
at
the
who's
Director
supposed to do the
General,
investigation.
approved it. So.
If he has come out to mention the board is now roped into the matter.
Yeah,
and I don't think
it would have to be looked into
principles
quickly.
have
Yes,
that they should do well.
It calls into focus my call that then the board should not be the entity investigating this matter, because ipso facto the issuance of the letter, he has come out to say that it was the board that gave the approval. So how will you then be?
So this, we are saying this based on what he said.
And Abraham, I will tell you, GMA is certainly doing well because they have a huge medical facility attached. You know the Ghana Medical Hospital, they are doing very well. So suddenly they have come into resource, so they can decide to dissipate it in.
But in terms of their core mandate, is what I'm asking, because the medical facility you're talking about perhaps wouldn't necessarily be their core mandate. Maybe it's been set up to bring in revenue of some sort. But in terms of their core mandate as a maritime authority, how are they doing? Is what I'm asking.
Very well. There are a lot of bricks business in our ports. And they are in charge.
The maritime industry is
the maritime industry is very huge, and Ghana is doing well. Oil exploration and all that. Ships are coming here a lot. But my call is that he should step aside
for the investigations.
For the investigations
very well.
to proceed.
Prof, your concluding remarks on this?
Well, for me, he said something very instructive. He said, don't complain about my $1 million expenditure. Other Director General are benefiting more. So there's something going on there. We don't know. I want to know how this even came out, that this guy is spending so much money on houses and food. It may mean that the practice out there, it may be more than we thought. So this is a notice to all these government appointees that we are still a very poor country. We're all struggling. They should try and cut the coat according to the size of the country. So yes, he said there's more going on there. And also he made another very interesting point, that, well, if as a country we must think big, yes, we will think big. That big thinking is to develop this economy, to develop this country. Let the cake be bigger, then we can all share. Not only few people take a lot of money to renovate their house.
Very well, thanks for that. Mr. Ping, your concluding remarks on this?
Yeah, so I'll join the rest of the panelists and yourself in strongly calling for a different entity, a third party, preferably Yoko or Shraj, to do the investigations, because as we stated earlier, he's saying the board approved these. So it would just not be right. It would just not be right for the same board to investigate itself. Let's have an independent investigation. And also, in the meantime, he should come and apologize for what he's done, because this is, it's totally unacceptable. Totally unacceptable.
Very well. We wait to see if that would actually happen. Kamal, maybe you pass on the message. Or
well,
whatever
I'm sure.
But we need to move on to look at developments happening at the KNUST. Last week on the show, we discussed this. We looked at the dissolution of the University Council and the subsequent setting up of an interim council, which started out as 7, and later on we had UTAG until we come on to making 9. Now, this week, the government requested the Chancellor of the University in the person of Otumfuo Seitu II to lead the next steps of reconstituting the University Council. And the understanding was that that reconstituted council would be outlawed yesterday, Friday, the 2nd of November. But that didn't happen. And this is after government had set up the interim council and given that interim council a term of 3 months to do its work. So, but even after that, then we had the National Council for Tertiary Education also come in, issue a letter to the Vice Chancellor and said to him that hand over temporarily to the Pro-Vice Chancellor. So the question then is, on that same Monday when all of this happened, the NCT with the letter and all, government issued a statement to say that Otumfuo should step in to help with the next steps. Question is, what changed? What changed, Kamal? That's to you.
You see,
what changed? Because the interim council had the term
governance,
of 3 months, and then now this. What changed?
Governance is and will remain a going concern. Governance is a process and not an event. I mean, indeed, that is why we have laws and we have parameters designed for us to follow in times like this. Dynamic they appear. We don't have it so rigid, standing. So once there's that flexibility, okay, and in your quest to ensuring that, look, we have a normal situation, we have a situation that has been resolved, clearly you would embark on this flexibilities or this flexibility. But what is material is, where are we now? And where we are now, is it the best for all of us? There's a closure of an institution, which is a very important one, of course, to us. What can we do as a people, as stakeholders, to ensure that that closure is taken off, and then at least students would be.
I get that, but I'm asking what
no,
changed,
your question
because
is,
you remember last week we were here looking at the dissolution,
you asked what changed,
or otherwise.
Yes.
Are we to take from government's action subsequently that perhaps government is admitting that the dissolution was contrary?
You see, when you read the communique that came from the information ministry, which seeks to talk about the engagement that went on in Kumasi with the chancellor and other stakeholders, you realize that, yes, even though National Commission for Tertiary Education, NCTE, came at a point to say step aside, even though, yes, there was a council dissolution and an interim council put in place, these were events that, of course, preceded that meeting. Now, having had the meeting, the communique then says that at the request of government, the chancellor is opposed or should work on how we can constitute a council that indeed will look into the matter going forward. But in the tentative, that interim council stays.
But for how
Friday.
long? Because this reconstituted council was to have been outdoored yesterday.
With a
so you're looking at.
So that was and the questions were like, okay, government, or the issues were like, government will bring 4 representatives, just as is spelled out. Then other institutional representation that was supposed to be part of will also be part of it. Then the Otumfuo will go on. I'm aware that there has been this tour of the campus by the chancellor and the
to assess
VC,
damages and all.
And to assess damages and all that.
Yes.
Where are we? Yesterday, as of yesterday, we told clearly that the announcement couldn't happen, and that we're still waiting on government to put in or to bring in their input, as it were. Like I said, there's that flexibility. It's a process. Let's see what caused the problem earlier, okay, will not be revisited. Let's see how we can get a better way of constituting the council, then we can all go on, or we'll all move on, as it were. So I know the government is committed, and I'm aware that, look, we're working so hard to ensure that at least lecturers are happy, students are happy, whoever is supposed to be at the center of it is also happy, so that at least we can move on. So clearly, yes, yesterday the announcement didn't come, but I believe that from now to Monday, there could be some resolution to it.
That happened, yes, as we go along. But Mr. Martin Pegu, quickly, this discussion here, the legality or otherwise of the dissolution of the council and the subsequent interim council constitution and all of that coming up. And I was asking what changed, because here we were with a certain impression based on what government had put out the week before that the interim council was going to be in place for 3 months with a certain terms of reference. And a couple of days later, we hear of the Otumfuo coming in to reconstitute. So what?
Okay. Yes, as for the 3 months, the initial 3 months, it looked too long. So even from day one, as soon as that announcement was made, a press release, we started advocating that no, 3 months was too long because, you know, to the extent that it was interim. And looking at, you see, let's not forget that in all of this, if we understand what's on the ground, you know, in Kumasi, Otumfuo is like head of state. So to have the interim for 3 months, it didn't look realistic. So from day one, I remember even on Joy FM last week, straight away, I said, no, they should push for shortening it. And that's what's coming to play. So that basically, you know, government is a huge stakeholder. Yes, the president has the power to dissolve and all that. But when you are exercising the power, you exercise it in respect of people, okay? Other people have interests. So it's a balancing of the interests. That's what's at play now. And you see, it's good that the president has allowed Otumfuo to lead, you see. So though constitutionally, yes, he has the power, but in exercising it, it's good to involve the citizenry. Because, you know, the bottom line in all of this, it's just, you know, the fact people are claiming, oh, it's illegal, it's illegal. The point people really want to make is that the president has too much power. But as for the legality of it, within Article 70, the president has power to dissolve the council.
So you think that the solution was...
Oh, legal, down straight. I have no doubt.
So certain that
not
it
even
was
any scintilla of doubt.
Very
straight.
Well.
Look, let's make this clear. The Act 80, the UST Act, okay, it was in it that, look, the PNDC appoints the council. Then, when Justice Crab was doing
he took out the PNDC.
Yes, but this, the Statute Law Review Commissioner, when he was doing these things, in the process, he ended up making so many changes that have brought us difficulties.
Right.
Okay? So the simple point I'm making is this. To the extent that the Constitution makes it clear that the president appoints the members of the governing councils, that's Article 70, and also Article 195 makes it clear that the whole of the public, all public offices, is the president that appoints. Of course, some of them he delegates. So let's say for the big institutions, after appointing the big shots, the board and all that, he delegates for the board and the rest to appoint the junior staff and all that. But ultimately, he has the power to appoint, okay? So where you have the Constitution making it clear, and then an act of parliament which is subordinate, okay, taking out that power, obviously there's a clash. And so the Constitution should, you see, as I said, in my heart, and that's what the president is doing, we want him to curtail some of the powers. It's also good to share the powers with others. That's what we want. But I cannot use that bias that the president is too powerful to say that, oh, in this case, the dissolution is illegal. No. Article 70 and 195 are too clear. He had the power to dissolve, but the way he's going about reconstituting it by allowing Otumfuo to lead is the right way to go. Yes, okay. And so, you see right now, what is holding the reconstitution is the fact that, understand, yesterday we followed the president of Utah, is it Dr. Mensah, Opoku Mensah, something, that's the name.
Yes.
Yes, he was saying that they want to retain their old members.
Exactly.
Please, that one is problematic. It's problematic because, you see, the old council, yes, we cannot, sitting here, attribute the riots and the distraction to them directly, okay, without evidence. But it's also widely accepted now that in matters like that, ultimately, it lies on their desk because they were the council.
Exactly.
So in matters like this, where the atmosphere has become very toxic, okay, usually it's standard to step aside, bring fresh brains on board.
But they are saying that they were elected, these particular people were elected for a particular tenure. And if that tenure is not up, they can't.
They should do something about it. They should do something about it because, you see, at their level, yes, they have their constitutions. So we have to interpret their constitutions vis-a-vis the Ghanaian constitution. Because the Ghanaian constitution, the national constitution, is supreme. In it is a president power to appoint. Those persons listed in Act 80 are nominees. They nominate their persons. So where your nominee was on the board, the university council, and this unfortunate incident has happened, leading to so much distraction, loss of goodwill, and probably distraction of the academic calendar. You see, we should begin to up our game where officers in charge will feel some sort of ultimate responsibility. So we don't need to push them. They should just have accepted that, well, it's sad, we may not be personally responsible, but to the extent that we're in charge, we will just step aside, then we'll have fresh blood on board, fresh ideas.
Very well. We're hoping to get the UTAC president on the line to engage with him, and hopefully we get some, clarity on all those outstanding matters. But we'll need to take a break. We'll be back shortly to continue with the discussion on developments with regards to the KNUST. See you in a bit.
Who, according to the allegations, were 8 people, ate to the tune of over 10,000 Ghana cedis. First allegation. Other allegations fly that, yes, still same food matter and drinking and, enjoyment matter as it were. That is what those who allege want us to, understand. Also gave an amount of over 100,000 Ghana cedis, all centered on feasting.
From his hotel.
From his hotel. Is that established?
Oh, he didn't deny that.
He didn't deny that.
Clearly.
That is where I would have issues. But you see, you may have a breakdown of a certain cost. I have cited a document which seeks to explain the amount of money spent on food. Okay? The allegation is that it's 8 people, but when you look at the document, no, it's a build-up cost that should have been added to the memo that is flying out there. In fact, I tried to be inquisitive, so I went in. Then I saw that no, there was a justification attached to that memo. Which justification had to do with, at a point you have 22 people, at a point you have 21 people, so it's a pile-up bill. That pile-up bill then saw an initiation of a memo within for the debts to be defrayed, as it were.
But let me just make reference to his, a statement he made. This is quoting him. He said it's true. There was 135,000 on food for 500 people. It is in management records, but some people have gone out to say that there were only 100 people. We have 200 workers, and we had met and estimated that at least there will be a partner, child, girlfriend, or wife. That will make it 400. Issues with that as well. So make it 400. So question then is, assuming what he's saying is true, for 500 people, at the cost of 135,000, that works out to 270 Ghana cedis per person. Is that justified for a public institution?
Yes. You see, I am not seeking to justify it in any way.
But he sought to.
Very well. He gives us numbers. You see, what we need to pick from this is that, first of all, the allegations sought to give certain numbers that were outrageous.
And he brought in figures which were even more outrageous.
Respectfully, if we talk about 10,000 being 8 people, then he comes to question that and said, look, this is a justification I have. It's about 100 and something people, not, if you like, the 8 people as alluded to by those who are alleged. Then he comes to 100 and something thousand. He says, look, over 500 people, and that it was an end of year dinner or party that they had caused to organize as an institution. Okay? I don't want to go into the numbers. What is essential is that there are 2 informations here for us to analyze. One, whether the one who is alleged is rightly placed. And 2, whether he also, what is saying is the right thing. We don't really know. We have to decipher. I'm sure that is why the minister has said that, look, the board should investigate this immediately and let us have the full report of what indeed had happened. So we have 2 sides of the story.
But even before, the board, already that issue is already under discussion, whether or not it's even proper for the board to look into that. But even before that investigation is done, you have on the face of it now the allegation and the response. And the response is not helping.
No, I agree. You see, that's why I was trying to, I know you don't have much time, but I was trying to let us understand issues by issues, then we move on now to his response. Then we look at what actually he said himself. Of course, he has told us, I'm listening. And we juxtapose same to our normal principles and norms as a country seeking to ensure that good governance is seen,
protecting
seeking
the public
to ensure
purse.
that we protect the public purse. Who then seek to look at that. Now, these are the stories. I'm saying that, look, if those numbers are given and he's giving defense to it, but the responses, if you heard me earlier, I said, look, sometimes silence is golden. The responses, you may have a very great case, but you see, you just make a comment and you are in trouble. I didn't like the bit when he talks about, the air conditioning should have even been more. I'm being fair. You see, to be very honest with you, we have voters out there. If you're a politician or you are somebody in government, you've been given a mandate with the greatest of respect. There are certain comments you make that in a country and a society where we're seeking to say, let us reduce poverty, let's put strategies in place to see how we could nip poverty in the bud. Then if I come to sit down to tell you, I even need more air conditioners, obviously, it will not sound so good for us. Again, the aspect of the hotel being mine, and I want us to be objective on this matter. Clearly, if you say a hotel is yours, I don't know the composition of the board of Maritime, but I know that the Director General will concern himself with the micromanagement of the place. And of course, as to whether he's a member as a Director General, which I suppose he wouldn't be, he may be a member. Very good. If you're a member of the board, and even if the board says, look, let's go out there and loan out or give this contract to this hotel for XYZ to be done, as he said in this thing. I believe that ethically, I mean, ethics would demand, or good conduct would demand, look, conflict of interest might arise. It's trite knowledge. It's not something we should try to gloss over. This is trite knowledge. So still, I won't jump the gun. Investigation is being launched on this matter. We're going to look at what actually will come out. It shouldn't be like, you know, we just talk about it and then it goes.
Not at all.
But I also want to believe that he has a great case. However, the conflict of interest bit of it is where I seem to have a little bit of a problem with the entire story.
Thanks, Kamal. Let me come to Prof here. Prof, you saw the Director General in there. People have had cause to complain about the posture, which perhaps speaks to the mindset of leaders in the country, you know, that this is somebody who comes there and feels he's entitled to certain things. This is a public institution we're looking at. What did you make of that press conference?
Well, Abena, thanks and good morning to you and to our viewers all over the world. Well, I find the press conference very interesting and very surprising. It looks as if the Director General is swimming against the flow of reason and making arguments in reverse, so far as I'm concerned. You see, let's look at the numbers. We can all count. Is this a 4-bedroom apartment, house? 4-bedroom. First, there's something wrong with the original idea that this wooden structure should be renovated and then used as a residence for the Director General. Nothing wrong with that. I think the issue is the excesses. 1 million Ghana cedis to convert a 2-bedroom house into a 4-bedroom house because it went through tender, that we should accept it. No, we can all count. I think 1 million Ghana cedis is excessive. There are a lot of contractors in this country. Some of them are listening. Let them tell us. We also know something about construction. That 1 million Ghana cedis is excessive. That's the first point. Now, the next point, he said 11 air conditioners are not enough. He counted and said he needed 13 air conditioners. Now, let's count it. He has 4 bedrooms, is that correct? That's 4 air conditioners. He has a living room, another air conditioner, that's 5. You say you have a study, that is 6. Which other room? Okay, visitor's room, let's give you another 2. That's 8. Unless he's putting the air conditioning also in the kitchen. I didn't count. I can see how you could fit even 11 air conditioners in a room, in a house of 4 bedroom. I don't know. The president's house is at Nima there. I don't know whether he has 13 air conditioners in that house. So 13 air conditioners is as excessive as the 1 million Ghana cedis that he claimed was used to build the place. Of course, yes, the money went to the contractor. There are a lot of contracts in this country which are a bit excessive, especially when it comes to the public domain.
Sure.
The question I would like to ask the Director General, will he himself spend his own 1 million Ghana cedis to renovate a 2-bedroom house into a 4-bedroom? That's the first point. If he's paying for the use of that place himself, will he have actually installed 13 air conditions? He put it back to whether this is thinking mediocrity. We should think big. Of course we should all think big. You think big on your own money. Yes, we all want to think big. We want to think big, very gargantua, but not on other people's money. 13 air conditioners for me is excessive. He also made a point that, oh, it will be paid back. The 1 million Ghana cedis used for construction, it will be paid back after a couple of months. I did my calculation. I don't know his salary. Okay, what is the president's salary? Is it 22 or 24,000 a month? Like he said something like that some time ago. It's public knowledge. Let's assume that he's earning the president's salary, which is about 24,000 Ghana cedis a month. And he said 20% of that will go to pay for this. I've done my calculation. It will take 208 months for that money to be paid back. Never mind inflation, never mind interest rate. We will take it close to about 300 months to pay for that money. So it's not the argument it makes that, oh, it's going to be paid back. He will pay it back, the next Director General will pay it back. No. The 1 million is excessive. As for the 13 air conditioners he's talking about, okay, the government have installed 11. He says, no, he should go and pay for the 2. If you think that he really, really need 13 air conditions in his house. For me, in all, I really think it portrays some sense of arrogance in some of our so-called leaders in this country. People are poor all over the place. I can also give a calculation. How many small primary schools could be built with that 1 million Ghana cedis? How many small clinics or health centers could be built with that 1 million Ghana cedis? Here alone, 1 million Ghana cedis were used to renovate a house, and he wants 13 air conditions and never mind electricity. Who is going to pay for electricity? Is he the one going to pay for it? For me, all in all, his press conference is an argument in reverse. It doesn't make it make him look any good, and he's arguing against the flow of reason.
Right.
Yes.
Very well. Mr. Kwebu, quickly. Now, speaking about, he tried to justify it, and Prof mentioned that will be paid back and all of this. Question then is it, perhaps the question is even a cliche, or I mean, perhaps it's going to sound like a hypothetical question. This is a public agency. Should we be seen to be engaging in such extravagance, such huge sums of money? For instance, 135,000 for 500 people. Like I said earlier, it works out to 270 Ghana cedis per person. You're looking at a public-funded agency. And now you come on to talk about his residence and the renovation of it. 4-bedroom, 2-bedroom converted into a 4-bedroom. Talking about the number of ACs and all of that. Clearly, this is extravagant.
Okay. It's really been very difficult making up my mind on this matter.
Why is that?
Why? Because it said the board should investigate. Okay? That's generally.
But yes, we'll speak about that too.
The side, as Prof and then Mr. Kamal Deen indicated, that what so far is bad and cannot be justified at any rate at all is the arrogance he's exhibiting. Okay, that one, yes, we all should join and tell him that, look, it's not his private business. Even if it were his private business, I don't think he has a right to deal with customers that way. Okay, so that one should go very clearly to him that he should even come and apologize. That's a public office. We are paying him, the taxpayers, there's money. And the Constitution itself makes it clear that administrative bodies and should be fair, candid, and all that. And as part of that, people tell that customer care is key. And I should think that as journalists posing questions, and they are part of the stakeholders. So that's
they are accountable to us.
Yes,
really.
Exactly. So that arrogance that he's exhibited, he should come and apologize for that. That one without any reservations. If he wants to talk that way, as I even said, even if it were his private company, he doesn't have the right to behave that way. Okay. Yes. But on the issue of the renovations, I'm looking at it. Director General, you see, in the scheme of things, 2-bedroom, it looks like small.
Okay, yeah. No, so yes, that renovation was done, but we're looking at the cost of it to the state.
Yes, so that's the point where I said, because they are investigating, maybe we should wait. As Prof said, there are contractors out there, so when they come out with the figures, then we'll have the experts who are also contractors contest.
But I do appreciate your perhaps reluctance,
but
like Prof said, I mean, there are a lot of people into buildings.
Yeah.
I mean, we know the average cost. I mean, if you look at certain things, you can say, well, there's a range between this and this. And clearly people have come to the conclusion or have passed a certain value judgment that this perhaps may very well be on the high side.
So you see, when they do the investigations, then we'll see exactly what materials used. Did they buy marble? Did they buy very high?
But would that even be justified for a state, a public funded agency, for instance?
So it is when we see the components, then we'll say, oh, this is extra luxury. That's not what you should put in. You see where I'm coming from. So when you see the materials, because the figure itself, otherwise they'll say we are jumping the gun. We've not seen the components. So let's see the component. It will not be hidden. They say the board should investigate. And as long as
you think the board investigating in itself is good enough, because there are questions about that?
No, that's problematic. It would have been better that we do a third party that's not connected with the authority. That would have been far better, so that there will be that independence. Because you see, for a board that he sits with all the time and all that, you know, even there'll be a perception of bias even before they start the job. So that one, perhaps we should look at it. There are so many agencies that can be asked to do these investigations.
For instance.
Exactly, so many. So that then when we get the components, when we can comment with full authority. I'm scared that...
the components bit I find, because see, the man himself said that, I mean, he hasn't denied the figure. He said it was approved by the board. So as far as he's concerned, it's kosher.
No, so that's why the investigations, you know how I usually, we will not run away from this. This same seat, I've occupied it in the past to lambast public officers when we think that they've not spent our money well, yes. But this one, once they say they want to investigate, I'm sure the investigations will now tell us exactly how it was spent. Then we would go, oh, definitely it's alarming. But because the investigations there, we don't have the report yet, I'm like, okay, so which part am I going to lambast when I haven't seen the cost component? That's why I said, so from the cost, the actual materials used, then we will conclude it.
Okay.
So, and I'm sure this in itself, what we've commented so far, even with the sort of preliminary comments, I'm sure it's gone to him and others who may be like-minded. So sometimes we must be magnanimous. There should be a point where we'll stop and wait for the final report. Then we'll finish it.
Okay, I'm not sure a lot of people agree with that part about being magnanimous, because people are out there looking at, you know, huge sums of money being thrown about. And like Prof said, look at what such monies could have gone to. We're not saying he doesn't deserve a good or a decent, residence, but the quantum involved.
Yeah, so that's so
it's where
interpreted that I've knocked
you have
query by saying that we'll finish it when we see the...
Very well. I appreciate that. Yes. I appreciate that. Honorable, your perspective. You have had cause to complain about this. I've heard you.
Yes, I have.
We will, yes.
I have made a call that he should step aside. He should be asked to step aside.
I know.
Yes.
I don't expect different tone.
No. Kamal, don't do this. This is a very serious matter.
I know.
You see, this one is in a long chain of instances like this. And it appears that when the matters break and it engages the public discourse, engages the public space, we debate it, and then we go back to sleep. Even when investigations are asked to be conducted, then most of the investigations come out to, as it were, establish that our initial reservations, our initial comments and all that were not founded. And so the person stays on. I'll anchor my subsequent submissions on this evidence. This is the Auditor General's report 2017 for public boards. And I brought it because the man continued to insist that whatever figures we are looking at were all approved by the board. By the board.
And this one he said that clearly.
Yes, no, by the board. So I am going to take the boards on. 2017, all forms of malfeasance and management irregularities leading to a loss of in excess of 2 billion Ghana cedis. 2017 alone. If you take another report of pre-university educational institutions, also for 2017 alone, the monies we have lost is almost 30 million. Now, why are we doing this to ourselves? It is because he feels strongly as a government appointee, not merely because he's even a public officer. Because he thinks that he cannot be touched. That is why I have made a call that the government should ask him to step aside. Is he the first person to become Director General of Ghana Maritime Authority? Others have occupied that position. In which residents were they housed? So that when the institution decides to say that we are giving you a 2-bedroom house, if you don't like the 2-bedroom house, say so. But where the board even decides to do a renovation of a premises that they intend to give you to house you, you don't have to spend 1 million Ghana cedis, almost 250 or 200,000 plus dollars, renovating a house. So like my senior said, did they import marble from Spain and porcelain from China and glass from Zaire? Why? It's unacceptable. And what is worse is his attitude. He has refused to show remorse. Look, you could be saying things to assuage our anger. That, well, this is a practice I came to inherit. If it offends the sensibilities of the people, I think as a board we'll look at it and amend our ways. You'll be dosing our pain, and we'll expect that indeed the investigations that the ministry has asked that it be conducted, we'll await the outcome. But you are saying things that you are further pricking our anger in the matter. And I have two issues with the ministry's directive for conducting investigation into the matter. Why? A board, somebody is saying that a board has approved these figures, and you are giving a directive that a board should investigate itself. Clearly, it offends our principle of nemo judas in causa sua. You can't be a judge in your own cause. Not at all. It's unacceptable. And then two, in the course of his press conference, he made very, very interesting statements. That if my wife, for instance, deserves to be given a job, I'll give it to her. Because she's a Ghanaian. Really. We have code of conduct for public officers in this country. And Abna, you're a lawyer, and my senior is there. And Kamal, you may not be a lawyer, but you understand this. That there are very clear checklists, principles underpinning conflict of interest situations. Case laws abound. Judicial pronouncements. What you ought not to do, less of which you'll be liable, you'll be in breach of the principle of conflict of interest. So if a high-ranking public officer of that caliber is able to say this to us, then what the hell are we doing as a people? He ought not to tell us that, because it is a ground upon which, when reports establish, you could be persecuted. That is why I am calling for IOCO to go into the matter. IOCO should be the appropriate agency that should investigate this
Some
matter.
have mentioned Shraj.
I have further made a call that this matter should be attracting the attention of the Office of the Special Prosecutor, for instance. Because you see, it appears to be a little, and I don't know other things that they have done which we are not privy to yet. But they may want to guard that. That is why I can understand the anger of the people that the progress on the passage of the Right to Information Bill is not fast enough, because then people can apply it for information. Look, a year ago you conducted an end of year dinner for your staff. So much money. You want to defend that? We are told 8 people ate for in excess of 10,000. You say no, it's 17.
Allegedly.
Yes. No. The figure is not denying. You see, it's not denying the material facts. It's denying the content
And
of
the
it.
numbers. Well, the
And the numbers. Now, it's, even if 17 people eat and it costs the nation 10,000 cedis, that is unacceptable. As I sit here, I'm looking for 60,000 to go and construct emergency ward for my Peki Government Hospital.
Over 100 people, not 17 people.
But 100 people cannot be eating and costing us in excess of 135,000 when I need 100,000 to go and construct emergency ward at Peki Government Hospital. It's unacceptable. That's the point I'm making. And then minus all this, you spend in excess of 100 million on a residence.
No,
1 million.
1 million on a residence. And then to add insult to pain, you tell us that you need more air conditioners. So like Prof said, is he fixing air conditioners in his bathhouse or in his garage? We are trying to count them. So for me, the government must do the needful. They must ask him to go home pending the outcome of the investigations. Look, if the board chairman, and I know from the records, the board chairman is Mr. Robert Kingsford Kutin. He's the board chair for GMA. And I see Atadazi is also a member, a very respected lawyer from Cape Coast. They should try and do the needful. They should impress upon the sector minister to ask the director general to go and sit at home so they can constitute a properly so-called committee to go into the matter. If indeed the investigations, the board will be allowed to conduct the investigations. Otherwise, then an external, ideally, an external institution, Office of the Special Prosecutor, or IOCO, or SHRAC, any of them. Indeed, we crafted the law in such a way that they can all work together, they can coordinate on matters like this. They should look into this matter and the law and let the law take its course where it is. I don't want to play politics this morning.
No, we don't have, because I mean, like, you made reference to
this matter has
it's a national issue, and that's why reference to the this report you put out, the Auditor General's report, is key, because I mean, the Auditor General's report consistently over a period of time has raised such issues. Exactly. And I must say that it's not peculiar to just 2017.
I agree.
Period before all of that, so it's a national issue.
Because of the break we had, because you see, the outcry was against the NDC, that we were seen to be profligate. But the level of profligacy we are seeing in this government is unimaginable.
So right now we're in a situation of comparing profligacy.
No, but you always have to compare. You must always compare.
Perhaps we should be looking at how well we're doing in terms of austerity as against profligacy. That would
but the records also shows that it's gone up in this.
We need to take a break, Kamal, Dean. When we come back, yes, we will wrap up on that quickly and move on to look at the KNUST developments and other matters arising. Let's take a break. We'll see you shortly.